They're trying to talk me into TikTok dances and break dancing. The goofball. So I think we're going to be hazy because I got a thing from Verizon saying that we have used our allotted amount of data. So watch the recording. It'll be a lot cleaner than this is. But tonight, more her than me, are animal people. Come here, Libby. Hey. And so hey, Libby, come here. Sit.
There's my baby.
Miss Libby here has been in trouble before, haven't you? She has been ill. And we have been asked to talk about her illness, and we've talked about it off and on in the past. But if you have a dog or a cat, and this doesn't even serve us. It serves, I guess, animal biome because
actually anything with a gut.
Yeah. But if you have an animal and you cannot figure out what is going on with the dog, the vets can't figure it out, and you love your animal, I would highly recommend something called Animal Biome. So I'm going to let Jessica take it over from here because she has a lot more love than me.
I like animals more than people. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's called Doggy Biome, isn't it?
Or is it Animal Biome. I'll look it up.
They break it down into Kitty Biome and Doggy Biome, and
So what was the story on that?
On Libby?
Yeah, give them the history.
So Libby is 5 this year, so she was 4-ish, 3.5, 4, and then she started limping, and so we took her to the vet, and they thought she had torn her ACL. Animal Biome, okay. And then so we had to crate her for 30 days. She had to stay in a crate for 30 days.
And she was seeing the chiropractor. I don't adjust animals. We had her to somebody who does.
And if you're local, Inman, right?
Yes.
Kathleen
Inman.
Kathleen Inman, and she's awesome. She does people too. But we were taking Libby to Kathleen Inman in town. She was adjusting her, and she actually did help her a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But she was able to do a little better, but it just didn't stick. And then Christmas time came, and we got Libby free. We gave her what I thought was fabulous stocking stuffers, which was freeze-dried duck hearts and chicken necks and duck heads. And then, so this is, I thought that was the cause. But so I gave her, she liked all of her treats, and I gave her a duck head. And then we tried to give her the second duck head, and she absolutely refused that one. So I think there was something wrong with them, whether they had a bacteria in them or something. But anyway, she just kept getting worse. We took her back to the vet, $2,000 later, multiple rounds of blood work and IV fluids and scans. All of her insides were fine. All of her joints were fine. Her blood tests were fine. Although it looked like she was in kidney failure. But then when I started thinking about her past, she was a puppy that had parvo, the run of her litter. So she made it. So that actually could have been her kidney failure markers. Probably are not new. They were probably from when she was a puppy. So we kept having her reevaluated. Then we thought the dog food we were giving her had caused her to be sick because there was a recall. And anyway, of course, they called me and they were like, there's nothing else we can do for her. I don't know what's going to go on with her. We can give her to a vet. Of course, the tears started, and I'm calling and I'm crying because I don't want my dog to die. Actually, I don't call her my dog because she's my baby. And Trevor's like, well, I will just try to fix her. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Oh, no. We're going to add a little correction there. As with most things in functional medicine, I get the call of, My dog's gonna die, and I don't want it to die.
Yeah, it's true.
And so I'm like, okay, we'll just figure it out. And that's something that's kind of funny because men and women alike, women, if the children come to the mom with a problem, moms solve it. If mom comes to the problem to dad, dad's got to figure it out and solve it. And so, as with all things, I was like, okay, I'm not sure where to go with this, but we'll figure it out. And I think you actually did the research because I was like, well, it's got to be her gut. How do we test her gut?
Yep. So I found the animal biome place. So then he's like, just order the test. I think it was about $125.
I don't know. You can
Maybe.
see the link
Maybe
there.
$149. I don't know, but it was minimal compared to what we'd spent. And then the vet said something about petroleum or something, oils, and we have lots of mechanics around here. Was she getting oil and runoff water? Who knows? But we followed her around. We sent off her stool, and her gut came back a mess. So then we were like, well, how do we fix that? We never fixed dog guts, but we just started feeding her like we feed ourselves. So we made her mixed vegetables every night. She had Kerrygold butter.
Hold on, time out. I have never seen a dog or cat eat vegetables.
Oh, she's always loved them ever since she was little.
And so
I've always fed her vegetables.
And so Jessica's like, well, she likes vegetables. And I was like, really?
She likes strawberries, blueberries, apples, carrots.
And so I was like, feed her that stuff.
So we started feeding her mixed vegetables. That's what she really likes them, with the little sea salt and the Kerrygold butter. And actually, she waits. If you tell her you're going to get her vegetables, she'll wait by the microwave. She watches you get them out of the freezer, waits, and lays down by the microwave for her plate to come. And then you have to tell her, like, it's hot. Don't eat it yet. It's hot. And she can't stand it, but she'll wait.
What?
And then she'll make a huge mess, and she cleans up everything. But started feeding her that. We started putting probiotics. She's actually out, and you can hear her over there because she doesn't want to eat her food. She rakes through her food and throws it all over the floor because looks at you like, hey, you forgot something. So we started her on a gut restore from the doggy biome. And then we started her on another set of probiotics in her feed.
And changed her food.
And she was down to 70-ish pounds. She had gotten to the point where she was walking on her front legs only.
Yeah, that was impressive.
And her waist and her hindquarters were just bones, no muscle tone. So I'd taken her back to the vet, and they were like, they just didn't know what to do for her. And then I was trying to think of her. I was putting her, as in a form of a child. And I'm like, babies, when their belly hurts, they pull their legs up. And so then instead of thinking about it in the terms that her legs must hurt her, we started thinking about her belly. So then we started treating the belly, and within a week, she was walking.
So let's pause here. Let's link the symptoms to the problems. So with humans, we do an organic acids test, and that starts to connect the dots with function. How is the body functioning? How is the body eliminating toxins? And then when you start to look at the microbiome, you start to look at outside influences coming in and affecting the body. And she had a lot of, we would call it dysbiosis. And so Libby had a lot of dysbiosis, which causes inflammation. When you are inflamed, your gut doesn't move things, cramping, tenderness, you get fatigued. She was sleeping all the time. She just lay on the floor. And so we see that happening. And so now we're like, how do you bring the normal biome back? The biome test came back abnormal. And then she was doing what she was doing. Go ahead from there.
So then I actually took the results to the vet. The vet was like, I've never seen one of these before. I'm like, don't you check on the gut biome? And they're like, we might be seen it once in college, but no, they didn't. They were like, you go do that and let us know how that works out for you.
Hint, that's just like
MDs.
conventional
Yeah.
medicine.
So we started doing veggies every day. She ate fruit. We gave her filtered water, just the water that we were drinking. And then she slowly started walking on her back legs in about a week. In about a month, she was really walking well. Then her hair, all of her hair had fallen out, got dull and fell out. So all of her hair got shiny again and
Looked
started
like she
growing
had
back
mange.
in. Yeah.
Oh,
then
also white.
so it was 6 months from start to finish of working on her gut. It took 6 months for her hips to fill out. It was her her coat came back shiny. She had energy.
Sorry, you have children around you.
Her eyes became bright, and then so she had on her what I would call her elbows. They were like, it looked like
Skin
shiny,
issues.
scaly, thick calluses. So then I asked the vet, like, what is that? And he's like, that's just because you got hardwood floors and she's laying on it. And then Trevor's like, well, that doesn't make any sense because dogs in the wild don't have that, and they lay on the ground. So
Think psoriasis, think eczema. Hold on, come here. Hey, Libby, let's show. Now
that's actually sit down.
we have a little bit right there,
But the
And
hair's
some on the
growing
other side,
back.
too.
but it's growing back, and it was gone.
Yeah, and it was on all of her legs, and so Trevor's like, I don't think that's calluses. I think that's a gut issue. So then 6 months later, we started her back on the food that she liked. We still give her probiotics every day. We give her good water. She still gets her mixed vegetables and fruit. We don't give her any treats. We don't give her any processed food. She only eats what we would eat. And
You gave her liver.
oh, we gave her to help her out. So we were researching everything. So I learned that what she really needed was the linings of the stomachs of cows,
Also known as tripe.
Yes. And we called all the butchers, friends that were butchers, and nobody would give us the lining of the stomach because it's illegal in the United States. So we either had to find it because we butchered our own animal, but we didn't have that kind of time. So we started giving her raw, fresh liver every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that for months.
And heart.
Yeah. And so then it took 6 months before she looked like she wasn't going to die. And I took her back to the vet and she gained a few pounds. So we're a year out from that. And so we took her for her checkup. Let me just say that was a $500 checkup. $500. I almost choked. And they've labeled her now as the duck heart dog. Libby the duck heart dog. And she's so sweet. She always lets him draw her blood. She's always like happy to see him, even if they're going to poke her. But she was up to 93 pounds or 96 pounds. So she gained 20 pounds. And I was worried that maybe she was getting a little fat, but he's like, no, she was beautiful. Her coat was shiny. It was clean. Her skin was clean. Her teeth were clean. Her eyes were bright. They checked all of her blood again. She was beautiful. No parasites. Everything was good. But when we know the signs of her relapsing, so the first thing that happens is around her ears and on her hindquarters, her hair starts dulling, and then she'll start limping. And then once she starts limping, if we don't get a good grasp on it, she goes down really quick.
So it's kind of like people. Once you have an injury, look at that little dork. Once you have an injury, that's the chink in the armor. And so you have to pay attention to that, and you have to learn how to deal with it. And so then you start to do things like, okay, how do I help the gut? because we're animals too. And the way that she responds is the way that we respond. And I know we think we're some form of higher being, but it's just not so.
Oh yeah, and I forgot. So, actually, what's really good for your pets, not just dogs, but any animal, you'll see them and they'll be eating feces, but that actually is not a bad thing for them. So dogs that are sick, dogs that are sick, if you want to take them around healthy dogs, especially if their gut needs to be reseeded. So they
That's
started
the animal
her
form of a fecal transplant.
They started her on antibiotics, so the antibiotics helped, and then they started her on steroids. She did really good on those, but as soon as the antibiotics and steroids would stop, it'd take about 30 days, and then it would all repeat itself. So, and that's why I think you see dogs and they'll be eating grass, and like she loves to eat dirt.
She thinks
loves dirt, and I'm just going to assume that they know what they need and they just figure out how to get it.
So people are not any different, and this is just looking at the function and looking at animals, and we are an animal, and how we helped her honestly is not too different than how we help our people and how we help ourselves. Fascinating stuff. We got Granny's omics test, we've got my omics test, we got Granny's GI map, we have my GI map, we have Jessica's omics and GI map. And actually next week, for those of you that are patients, Kathy and others that watch us regularly, next week we're going to start to tackle the big five: fatigue, weight, digestion, depression, and sex hormones. We're going to start to attack those, and we're going to start to give you the things to actually address those so that you can start to feel better, and you don't have to go through steps 1 through 6 with us. You can start at step 2 or 3, and they're the free and easy things so that you're doing better. So if you've stuck with us this far, and we see quite a few of you on here, next week we're going to go over my tests, and hint, my organic acids look great. My GI map, not so much.
Well, to finish up on the animals, so if my niece has a dog that is literally almost bald, he's chewed his skin off.
Nasty.
So she's helping your biome. Anyway, but most vets and people will automatically go get creams, powders, lotions, and potions and just spray it all over them.
You don't lack that in nature. You don't have.
But dogs are just like people. Look at their environment. Is there mold? Are you using chemicals? Is there carpet? Are they allergic to something that's present? Eliminate it, clean it up, clean up the environment, clean up their gut, and then feed the good stuff. So my niece, they wanted to start doing immunotherapy injections for a dog. Yeah. And so
which is great if you've taken care of the foundation.
But I'm like, if I were you, well, we told her like 4 months ago that your dog has a problem with its gut. Like you need to look at the gut first. And then if you can make sure that
she looked at her like this.
Yeah. So she messaged me like a few weeks ago that said, hey, they want to start, this pup on immunotherapy, injections, and it's super expensive. And I'm like, well, I can teach you how to help the gut. And so I don't know if they did or they didn't, but if you have an animal and they're getting sicker and sicker and the vet doesn't know how to help them, then just go back to nature, start feeding their biome and give them probiotics.
Let's just bring this to people real quick. If you're on immunologics, meaning you're on the Humaras and you're on this stuff, you've already been through all of these other little things, and you've done the cortisones, and you've done the steroids, and you've done the antibiotics, and they've done everything they can do because your body is not reacting the way that it should, quote unquote. Same thing with the dogs. Same things with animals in general. Then they want to start to do the Humaras and the immunologics. How much do those cost a month?
I know in people they're like between $12,000 to $22,000
So,
for one injection a month.
yeah, one injection a month. So, what's really funny about this stuff is once it starts to get into your pocketbook and you're looking at these types of therapies, then you start to look for other things. Why don't you just head that off at the pass and do the organic acids, do the GI map, see what you can address naturally and on your own and rather quickly. Once again, we aren't here to put you on 1,000 things and do. If
Our
a
goal-
doctor does its, if a doctor truly is doing his job, what's the job?
We're going to put ourselves out of business.
Yes. We don't have to worry about that because we have pharmaceuticals spending billions of dollars to get you guys on their pills that will work. They will work for an amount of time. Think about being at, when you're a kid. When I was a kid, 51, I played in the gutters. I can remember being at St. Mary's School, and we would pack rocks in the gutter to back up the water. Think of the water as the body's systems. You can stop it for a while, but then that water backs up. And then what happens? It finds a way around. The water will go around, it'll go through, it'll back up so much that it goes over top of. The body will find a way. And then what happens is you're told you're at your last straw. And I don't want to see you when you're there. I shouldn't say I. We don't want to see you when you're there because that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work on your part and it's a lot of work on our part. We want to see you early. Sorry about the shakiness. The dog is breathing heavy and causing my legs to move. We want to see you early on. Give them some love, Libby. You don't care, do you? Nope. But that's when we want to see you. We want to see you early on before this happens. And think about your children and grandchildren. If they have issues, do these tests and make sure things are working right.
You say give them some love.
Yeah.
She's trying.
Camera. You're supposed to be a camera dog. You're supposed to be doing, I don't know, you're supposed to pander to the camera and you're not doing it.
You're the bridge between my mom and me, and I can't get over there.
I'm in the way. All right. Well, with that all being said, oh, hold on. When do you do these lives? I definitely want to learn about this over living on meds and cover these issues. Every Thursday.
Every Thursday
There
at
you go,
7
babe.
o'clock. And Livy usually tries to be a part of it because anywhere I am, she's usually at my feet. So everybody always says, hey, I love hearing Libby just chug down her water. And like she's right next to us, but most of the time she's in the other room.
So with that being said, next week we're actually, you've got to remember this. We are not just practitioners. We're not just practitioners. We're trying to figure our own stuff out as well because we have issues too. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has something going on. How do you deal with it? And that's where we're all teachers. And you'll see my issues next week. And I can link it to the cholesterol issues. I can link it to the fatigue. I can link it to the inability to lose the fat around my waist. We can see this happening. So, Stacy, join us next week. Kathy, we'll always see you next week. Susan, thank you for joining in. And everybody else, we appreciate you. And if you have questions, hey, Dr. Miller at Integrated Health of Indiana, Mrs. Indiana Backdock at gmail.com. Call the clinic at 812-346-1757. We just like to help. It's fun.
It is, and just remember, you can take this for your people or your pets.
Anything that
works.
breathes
Yeah.
and lives and walks. Have a wonderful evening.